Hello and welcome back. Sorry about that. We're going to talk about some games to look forward to Saturday. We've got a large slate on Saturday. We'll also hit real quick on the big game Sunday, Ohio State, Michigan. As for myself, I'll start out, talk about games I'm looking forward to on Saturday. I think one that's kind of under the radar. UConn at Villanova. UConn's got James Booknight back. I know we both like Booknight and UConn a lot more when Booknight actually plays. I think this could be a very good game and could help bolster UConn into the conversation of the NCAA tournament. This will be a very big game for them. Obviously, Villanova had the letdown last weekend against Creighton, so they're looking to bounce back. I think another game I'm looking at is one that I hope gets played. I'm not sure what's going on in Texas right now, but West Virginia at Texas, I think is a big one. We talked about both teams not too long ago. I think this is a big game for both. I think Texas has kind of hit a bit of a lull. They had the COVID issues and haven't really been the same since, haven't found that form they had earlier in the season since. I think this is a chance for them to get back on track, go in the right direction, going into the Big 12 tournament and the NCAA tournament. So I think this is a big one for both teams, but I think a little more so Texas to refine their form. And I'll let you talk about games you're looking forward to.
Yeah, two games that I'll also toss out two games I'm excited about. I do hope the West Virginia Texas game gets played. Um, I think that would be a good game to watch. I'll start in the Big 12 as a Big 12 guy. Texas Tech and Kansas, simply because I think this is going to be a game that determines seeding in the Big 12 tournament. But also because to me, this is a game that you have two teams who I think are kind of struggling right now to get to the finish line. Um, and this is a game where I think is a very important game for each team to win, not just for the seeding, but for your confidence. A road win at Kansas is always, you know, a big game for every other Big 12 team. So that's Texas Tech's kind of mindset, and Kansas a chance to get another top 25 win, another home game, get another win under your belt for later in the year. So I'm excited to watch that game and just watching Big 12 basketball. Um, Next game I'm going to go to. I like this game simply because the team is playing at home, and that is Illinois at Minnesota. Um, Minnesota is like, I mean, Minnesota is a different team at home than on the road. I think on the road, they've won one true road game this year. I don't think they have covered in any of the road games this year that they have played in. But when they are at home, I mean, they can't. Last game I can remember them playing at home, they had that comeback against Purdue. Not maybe not really comeback, but they were down the whole game against Purdue and ended up winning. Um, they're a different team on the road. Illinois coming in a top five team, a chance for them to get a quality road win, but keep that 1 to 2 seed uh, realistic seeding up for grabs, because when they get to the Big Ten tournament, they're going to be playing a lot of good teams. You lose your first or second game, that will affect your seeding for sure. So chance for them to kind of keep flexing their muscles that they belong in on the 1-2 line. So those are two games I'm looking forward to. And under the radar Power 5 game I'll throw out there is Florida State at Pittsburgh. We both talked about how much we like Florida State. Pittsburgh is a team that has played good at times, has, I think, the ability to win this game. So maybe you see that game's getting down to the wire late afternoon on Saturday.
They
I don't.
also Pittsburgh also has the leading scorer in the ACC, in Champagne, so
Mhm.
that could be another potential star to watch out for.
Yeah. They've got some good guard play. That Pitt. Um, I don't. There's not a ton of like mid-major games that I really see that I'd throw on if I don't unless I put some money on them. Um, if you want to watch Cleveland State and SIUE, two former Bradley coaches coaching there. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't. There's not. Yeah, like I said, there's not a lot of other. It seems like a lot of the better mid-major schools are playing some of the bottom of their conference. You look at Belmont, for example. Um, One other, and I think, yeah, yeah. I mean, really, I think there's some headlining games by some of the bigger schools tomorrow, and I think those would be the games I'll probably be focused on. Not a lot of mid-major games I want to watch. Um, yeah. You have any other games?
Yeah, I was looking through that too. There's, like you mentioned, there's really not big time mid major games to kind of keep your eye on Saturday. I think the headliners are all the Power Five conferences as they're getting down towards conference tournament play. So I'd watch all those. And I think the big one that everybody wants to watch is actually on Sunday, and that's between Michigan going to Ohio State at the 12 o'clock CBS spot. I think that's probably the game of the weekend, and one you kind of hit on a little earlier, um, mentioning Ohio State down in the post. We're not sure outside of EJ Liddell how strong they are, whereas we are very sure Michigan is good down low, and they've also got the guard play to back it up as well. You mentioned Dickinson and Wagner. Livers, I don't know if you'd consider him a post player, but he also gets some post presence.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I think we can agree that this is probably the biggest test for both teams so far. I mean, Michigan's handled everything thrown at them, minus the Minnesota game. And Ohio State, they've been rolling here of late.
Yeah, this I think, I mean, it's a top 5 matchup. Even when the new rankings come out. Well, no, we'll have these same rankings. Yeah, it's a top 5 matchup. I think that these are two of the hottest teams in the country right now. Michigan and really Ohio State have pretty much like not lost in a month or so. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be Michigan's size down low against Ohio State's lack of size. Um, I think this will be a very very good game, very competitive. I think both teams um, deserve to potentially be a 1 seed, depending on how things shake out. Obviously, I don't think both of them will be, but I think both have the ability to be 1 seeds. So I'm really looking forward to that game. I think if I had to pick it, I think I'd probably take Michigan, just because I think the big play, especially if Liddell gets in foul trouble, which he tends to be in, their bigs will kind of run the show. And I think Michigan's guards are underrated. Kind of Livers, I think, plays a little bit of both, but then you talk about Smith, their point guard. I think he'll match up well with Walker, Ohio State's point guard. So I think I might take Michigan in that game. The other game, I'll stay in the Big Ten for the other game I'll throw out as kind of a must watch on Sundays, Penn State at Iowa. And the reason I will throw this game out is because this game I think has the ability to be very high scoring. Penn State has shown at times this year they can score a lot. They put up like 150 something points again with Ohio State the other night. Iowa doesn't play a lot of defense. They want to have some high scoring games as well. So if you're looking for an over, I'd recommend probably that one. Or if you're just looking for a high scoring up and down game to watch, I think that game has the potential to be a good back and forth trading buckets kind of game that I'll probably throw on later in the day. And then if you want to watch an ugly game, Wisconsin at Northwestern.
Those are always ugly to watch. Not very many points. So I will agree with you on that part. I'll give out one more. It's kind of an under the radar. I really like this conference. I've talked about them all year. The A10, they've got Davidson at St. Bonaventure at 2:30 on Sunday. The Bonnies are a good team. Davidson's been surprisingly good this year, in my opinion. I really like the Bonnies. I think they've had some unfortunate breaks with some of their games. The other night against VCU, I think they probably should have won that game, ended up on the wrong side of it. So I really like what I've seen from the Bonnies. The Davidson's been kind of surprising. I think this could be a very good game. Definitely will have seeding implications for the A10, which believe just announced that they're going to an 18 tournament instead of the
Hmm.
full blown tournament like they usually have. I'll double check that real quick. But I think that's going to be a very good game. Could have some huge seeding implications for the A10. And just a mid-major game to watch out for because either team could come out of the A10
Yeah.
and could give somebody some problems. Let me check here.
Because they're playing, I think, the whole tournament in Richmond, right? At VCU in Richmond.
Yes, I think they announced that earlier, but I think
Yeah.
today they announced that they're switching to just 8 teams. Let me check real quick.
Monday, Stanford at USC. I hope that game's not at 10 o'clock at night. I'd like to watch that game. Stanford's a bubble team. Pac-12 could get a handful of teams in there.
I think there's like 5 teams in right now. And what they did with Stanford too, I was watching a broadcast. I think it was last night. I think I was watching the UCLA game against Arizona, and they talked about how they changed one of Stanford's games from earlier in the year when they couldn't play on campus,
Mm-hmm.
or I guess a few of their games when they couldn't play their home games on campus and had to relocate. They changed those to neutral site, so it bumped up their net, and so now they're in the tournament as of now. So it kind of changed things up and helped them get in. But I'm reading. Yeah, so it's at Richmond and VCU. I guess they're still doing a full scale tournament. It sounded like I heard during the SLU game today that they were talking about condensing it down to fewer teams because there's about 14 teams in the A10. So I'll keep an eye out on that, but that's definitely a game I'd watch and from the mid majors on Sunday. And
How
that's the
much of
last game.
that?
What?
How much of that SLU game did you actually watch tonight?
Not much.
Yeah.
It got out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah. I had it on and then I made dinner and then I came back to it and I was like, well, this game's not being on the TV.
Yeah. Wasn't pretty. Uh, but that's just how the season's gone for a lot of teams. Is there anything
Mhm.
else you had?
I believe this is the first show since the Cardinals got Arenado. So just a friendly reminder: the St. Louis Cardinals have Nolan Arenado. That is all that I have.
It's a good reminder, especially for any Cubs fans watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned on socials from _nose. As we get closer to tournament time, we might have on some guests to talk a little bit about the tournament potentially.